It's week 3 in the NFL, and we've got questions. What will Brandon Marshall do for an encore against Rex and the Jets?
Will Tom Brady ever throw the ball to someone not named Edelman?
Are your Broncos in trouble with a supersized rematch against Seattle?
And have any other football stars been injured or suspended since this program began?
These questions and more answered on today's Fantasy War Room Live.
Waffle House.
Let's move on to running backs.
All right.
The big play this week, your number one back is LeSean McCoy versus Washington. I think that's, we don't have to talk too much about that.
3 weeks at the top of the charts. Has not actually had a chart-topping week. Perhaps this is the week. We're not sure when it's going to come from Foles, but this could be his monster week.
I think that's very possible. It's yes, it's not like Toby Gerhart did a lot against the Redskins. I think 9 for 17. But it's like we might as well be talking about different animals, Toby Gerhart and LeSean McCoy. It's like we can't compare them at all.
I know. Had Toby Gerhart, that you were talking about that play earlier before the program, about how Gerhart actually had like this huge gap on one running play and then just actually ran right into the ass of his own left tackle. Like, had he dropped the ball, it would have been butt fumble too.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But
it's
still,
a shame.
He's not good at running back. LeSean McCoy is great. Up at the top, you know, I could see a little movement, but I think the top 5 are pretty set.
You've got Marshawn Lynch, who even the Seahawks were dominated in time of possession. The Seahawks only ran 40 offensive plays, 17 minutes time of possession, and Marshawn Lynch still had 63 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. He just gets it done.
Runs angry.
And
who is he angry at?
Giovanni Bernard. The frustration we had during Giovanni Bernard's rookie season was he wasn't getting the ball enough. 32 touches last week. Great to see him finally getting his. And Jeremy Hill still like 17 touches and a touchdown.
I know. Well, they played the Falcons.
That'll do it.
They played the NFC's Jaguars defense.
That'll cure what ails you.
That'll cure what ails you.
And then number 5, I think you have him rated a little bit too low, is DeMarco Murray, who,
I know,
if we want to go way back to the preseason, I said he was going to be a top 5 back, and he's even better than that so far.
I'll tell you what, if he can actually play a healthy 16 games with the way that they're running the entire offense through him, now maybe some of this is because Tony Romo still is Tony Romo, or because he's a little dinged up. But they have a good offensive line.
They have a great offensive line, especially for run blocking.
Played 14 games last year. DeMarco Murray, I believe, was the number 1 or number 2 back over the last 6 or 8 weeks of the NFL season last year, fantasy-wise. If he stays healthy, I could see him finishing number 1, especially if LeSean McCoy is hemorrhaging touchdowns to Sproles the way that he has been the last couple weeks.
Sproles keeps scoring from 40 yards out.
You can't see him. He's small. Danny Woodhead looks down at him.
Yeah.
He's small, tiny human.
Matt Forte, I think, is an interesting person to talk about this week, because I actually think that if you're deep at running back, if you load it up on running back early, I might consider benching Matt Forte this week.
Would you? Because nobody really runs well against the Jets.
No, the Eddie Lacy last week, 13 for 43. And it doesn't stop offenses from working because they can just get it done through the air against the Jets.
Here's the thing. It's the PPR factor.
You know what? That's what I thought starting Forte against the Niners last week, but he just didn't even get it done in the passing game either.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe
it's hard though. I mean, it's real.
That's a bold sit.
That is a.
But if you're a riverboat gambler and feel like the Jets' run defense is something you don't want to mess with, I might consider it.
It is a bold sit. But who would now? Who would you recommend, either from your bench, from your well-stocked reserves, if you will, or maybe from the pile of humans that you continue to tell me actually play football that are starting for injured running backs? Would you say, okay, bench Forte and start blank? Jeremy Hill?
As we go down the list, I wouldn't go Jeremy Hill.
Okay.
I'd say maybe Zach Stacy, who's got a nice matchup versus Dallas. And my deep pull of the week it's not even a deep pull, but Joyke Bell has got a great matchup against the Packers, who of course are now without B.J. Raji. They just have a problem in that middle of the defense. They don't have anybody to dominate the line. And Joyke Bell has been getting more snaps and more touches than Reggie Bush. He's actually getting more targets too. 11 targets last week to Reggie Bush's 3. I think Joique Bell's going to have a really good week this Sunday.
Yeah, anybody could run against the Packers. When you said like they've got a problem up the middle, yeah, they don't. They can't stop anybody. They have there's no defense up the middle. It's a very underwhelming Packers defense to the point now where whatever running back is going up against them, to me, is at least should be top 10 probably.
Yeah.
If he just were not part of this split. Now he's starting to pull away early in the season in terms of carries versus catches, but he actually got a couple of targets out of the backfield as well on swing passes and screens. So I'm wondering if either Reggie Bush is a little dinged up, maybe if Bell is just better, or if Reggie Bush is in need of the discipline of a 1-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah, screw you.
Yep. Before we talk about some of the young reserves that are stepping up out of a handcuff role, I want to note that you've got Le'Veon Bell, who's a top 3 fantasy back through 2 weeks, down here at number 18. In your
Carolina's defense is toothy. It's toothed.
It's like a shack.
It is. It's like one of those like megalodons. It's like a mega shack. No one's really doing their job against. No one's really kind of running up the yardage. No one's totaling it up there. Le'Veon Bell, to me, this was my courtesy top 20 placement of him. When in fact he would be somebody that I would consider benching this week because I feel as though they're going to be forced to pass. Now, Greg Hardy might be riding the Discipline Express.
It looks like he is. I'm not sure. There's conflicting reports earlier, just before we started this, but
right.
I wouldn't count on him.
Yes, exactly. Good football player, better human, obviously. He may not be playing. Now, that hurts them a little bit, especially when it comes to the pass rush. But by and large, people are having a hard time establishing the run game against Carolina. I'm not loving him. I'm surprised you didn't take me to task for putting Jonathan Stewart, a Carolina running back, just beneath him at 19. But anyone can run against Pittsburgh.
Indeed. Bernard Pierce, who was awful last year, just 3 yards per carry.
Benched week 1 this year.
Benched week 1, 22 for 96 against the Steelers.
Justin Forsett, out of retirement.
Everybody who quickly added Justin Forsett because he was going to be the starter promptly got a shiv in the guts from Coach Mike.
They just got pushed over the railing like in that big
John
death
Harbaugh.
montage. They got Walter Whited by John Harbaugh in that famous montage scene from the prison. Jonathan Stewart actually showed up and put his big boy pants on last week. Played a full game.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Williams hurt. Now, I know no one has wanted to come within 57 yards of that Carolina split. Yeah. But you can run on Pittsburgh, and if he's healthy, I don't love Cam Newton as much. I actually like Jonathan Stewart more this week.
I'm with you on that. And let's close the thing out. You've got Pierre Thomas versus Minnesota at your number 20 spot, ahead of his the person stepping in for Mark Ingram, which we're thinking is going to be Kyrie Robinson. Now, I'm with you as far as having the Saints running backs low because it's one of those things with the Saints offense. You never know how the spread is going to shake out. Drew Brees always giving the ball to someone who you have on your bench. He's really good at that. Kyrie Robinson looks to probably get more carries. Pierre Thomas, more catches. And from deep, someone named Travaris Cadet. Got 15 offensive snaps last week.
I feel like what you do is you grab a phone book and you just pick 2 or 3 random names every week before you come in, and just bring them in and just see if I'll call BS.
Travaris Cadet, that's not a real person.
Travaris Cadet.
It's like a game of Balderdash.
That sounds like a command, not like Travaris Cadet. I think Pierre Thomas with the PPR factor. The last week, now the Patriots. Stephen Ridley went 25 for 101. Shane Vereen didn't put up quite as much, but the Patriots were dedicated to going straight up the gut. I think New Orleans offense, especially when they're home and they've got a plum matchup like this, it's sort of like you were saying earlier, Drew Brees likes to play around with a different kind of spread. The Saints offense is kind of like you love going over that friend's house. They always have lots to eat. Some week there's going to be hummus and chips. Next week, hey, they ordered pizza. You never know. It's going to be something delicious. You can't predict it. Either way, I still like Pierre Thomas over Kyrie Robinson.
All right. I can't disagree with that. Now, I want to talk about, because we've had a slew of running back injuries and / suspensions. And so we've got a grab bag of names. We've got Lamar Miller, who's getting playing time because Noshawn Moreno's got a dislocated elbow.
Oof.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Niall Davis in for Jamal Charles. Someone named Matt Asiago.
Yes, Matt, my favorite, one of the underrated Italian cheeses.
And someone who's not in your top 20, Donald Brown stepping in for Ryan Matthews. Who do you
Ryan
like?
Matthews is out for at least a month, I believe, as well. He's got is it a torn meniscus or a hyperextended?
Sprained MCL and acute fumbleitis.
Acute fumbleitis as well, right? MCL, lousy phone provider. I don't love Donald Brown going up. I mean, like Donald Brown was never somebody who was just like, I'll tell you one thing I got going against the guy I'm playing this week in fantasy, Donald Brown. Nah.
Yeah.
Not in Buffalo, too, and they're playing very well, 2-0.
Danny Woodhead will probably get a slight bump up in his touches. Donald Brown, I think, is going to get the bulk of the carries and, of course, any goal line work. I do like what's great is with Ryan Matthews out for a month, the Chargers' next 4 games, the schedule is fantastic. I looked it up last night, and now it's evaporated from my brain. But, like, if you grab Donald Brown off of waivers, you're in for a great month.
Right.
So I like him for the next couple weeks. I like Niall Davis a lot.
Here's the question. If you lost one of your primary running backs, like let's say you had the 3rd pick in your draft, you grabbed Adrian Peterson. Maybe somewhere around the 9th, 10th round, or even later, you got to waivers early. You picked up a Lamar Miller because you thought he was there because Noshawn had taken the job. Nobody grabbed Niall Davis as the handcuff for Jamal Charles. Matt Asiato, or Donald Brown even. Would you flex one of those guys in place of, let's say, a Noshawn or even Forte?
Well, certainly not Noshawn. But in place of Forte?
In place of Noshawn, now that Noshawn's out, would you start Lamar Miller?
Oh, I'd start Lamar Miller this week.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that he's going to be, again, we've done this before with Daniel Thomas, where you think that Lamar Miller's got this, and then Daniel Thomas gets a touchdown, and you're frustrated with Lamar Miller's 4 points again. But, you know, I again, like most of the leagues that I'm in are pretty competitive, and I have to put someone like Lamar Miller into the flex position because I drafted Jamal Charles.
Yep. And you didn't grab Niall Davis.
I would start Niall Davis this week. I would start Donald Brown this week. I would not start Matt Asiata now or anytime. I know he had a touchdown last week, 40 yards receiving, but 13 for 36 were his carries. No thanks.
All of those guys to me are like coming home half in the bag, and the only snack in the house is salt-free pretzels. Like, all right, it'll get the job, but like, right?
It'll absorb some of the booze,
but otherwise, boy,
yeah.
who bought salt-free pretzels?
Yeah, indeed. I think that's a wrap for running backs. I don't have anything to add to salt-free pretzels.
That's this week's back end of the running backs. Just a bunch of salt-free pretzels.
Ugh.
Gross, right?
Gross.
Hey, this is a gluten-free Chinese food. Well, then why'd you get it? Ruined everything. Oh, no MSG too? God, where is this? Russia?